Less than 24 hours away from the 49ers cutting down to their initial 53-man roster. Jason and I, we're going to be here talking about our new Sprint Ride Option podcast. Jason Aponte, hit that music.
All right.
We need to release a cover edition where we sing the instrumentals ourselves. I think that's the best way to do it. Hey, this is a new Sprint Ride Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined by Jason Aponte as always. And Jason, we finally did it. The preseason is over. We are more or less in the regular football season. One last bit of business to deal with, however that is, and that is cutting down to the initial 53-man roster, something that will happen tomorrow. But Jason, first and most importantly, how you doing on this lovely Monday afternoon?
I'm good. I'm feeling it. Right after, this initial 53 comes out, that would be amazing, but then you get all that time off and, next week, Thursday opener, Friday game in Brazil, Saturday college football, Sunday all day slate, Monday football. Like, we're so close, man. I'm just gonna take this entire week off and just try to recharge my batteries and everything.
I love it. That honestly, man, out of anything that's tired me out more than anything this preseason, this training camp, was Saturday's what felt like a 9-hour football game.
Hmm.
That was not a fun. I didn't watch it live. I rewatched it. I rewatched it the next day, knowing how long it was going to be. And boy, oh boy, was that a drag. But hey, Jason, thank God Trey Lance didn't do anything because we don't have to talk about the third preseason game that much, other than maybe a couple things here or there.
I was gonna ask, did he not play or something? Because I didn't see anything. Like, did he not
He
play? I mean, I didn't watch the game myself. I had a very high stakes home fantasy league draft that I was locked in on. But I gotta say, it's almost like I don't even know if he played on Saturday. That's kind of funny to me how there's no mention of anything that was done by him in this game.
imagine getting cooked by DJ Uiagalelei. I can't. I'm a Florida State fan, and I can't even say it.
DJU.
You got DJ U. We're doing the Sammy O. Great time for Matt McHose. Andrew used that pronunciation guide I sent you earlier. I didn't have DJ Uiagalelei. There we go. I think that's the best you're going to get out of me on that. But yeah, Niners win their preseason closer. Anything specific? Thomas Morstead forced 2 muff punts. We're going to start calling it the knuckle punt, like Mitch Wishnowsky did. Other than that, I don't have any notes on the Niners win.
No, Nick Martin had another impressive performance.
Mm-hmm.
He still has to reel himself in a little bit, but these are the jumps that you want to see from game to game. I did notice some good plays from Darrell Luter, some bad plays from Darrell Luter, so I guess that's the Darrell Luter experience. But I think I have a good handle on who's gonna make this 53-man roster, or at least get close enough, based on who was playing in the situation. Sometimes guys that are playing, they're playing for their lives at that moment. If you're not playing, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in, but you gotta sift through all that and have all the information from all the other days and what's being said. So it's kind of interesting. I just finished watching that game on the tape. It was really nice to watch it without any sound or anything like that, but nothing too crazy. Just making sure that guys get out of there healthy is all that mattered.
The 49ers did make some moves today, wrapping up the preseason. That was our week 3 preseason wrap up right there.
There it is.
Good job, Jason. We did it.
Yep.
49ers waived Carter Bradley and Tanner Mordecai with injury designations. They also waived Jalen Allen and Shaquille Brown. They released Keyshawn Vaughn and placed Isaiah Prince on IR. So there's some of your roster moves. And then a big day for injury returns at practice today. Michael Williams, CJ West, Richie Grant, Fabian Moreau, Mac Jones, and Ben Barch all returned and were participating. I mean, really the biggest name there. I mean, 2 big names there. Michael Williams, your starting edge across from Nick Bosa, and then Ben Barch, the presumed starting left guard to start week 1. That's a huge one. I did see a semi-positive Dominic Puny update as well. I don't
Sounds
think
like he'll be ready to go week 1.
but it sounds like he is gearing up to be ready to go for week 1, which is good news for the offensive line. Just really any positive injury news is good news at this point with the 49ers. But Jason, any thoughts on the moves? Any thoughts on the returns from injury? Not too much to talk about there, but some big names back.
Nothing really with the moves that were made, but CJ West getting back is another good thing. And I know you might be a little distraught saying Upton Stout's name not on there, but news was today that he was running on the side and he looks fine. That's another good positive update. It's getting too positive right now, and I'm getting a little bit nervous, but it is good to see, your presumed starters, getting back. You hear the good news about Pooney. You hear the good news about Stout. Mikel's back. West is back. Mac Jones is back. Thank God, because I don't know if I could deal watching any other quarterback that's been with the 49ers play football. Funny enough, if you want to laugh, Nate Sudfeld, he was here for one day and left, and he hurt himself, and that's why they had to let him go. So I mean, I don't know if it's not funny to Nate Sudfeld. It's just it just goes with the avalanche of injuries that have been happening.
Kalia Davis, Jordan Watkins, Upton Stout, Jordan James, Dominic Puny, and Stone Blanton were doing levels of workout on the side, according to Nick Wagner of ESPN as well. So there's the positive Puny update. Stout, it's just. I guess that's the slingshot of all the injury news, Jason, is at some point they're going to have to come back, and it's good that they are getting these players back in mass. They're almost getting them back as quickly as they lost them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good, especially with cut down day coming tomorrow. And we're really about to get into our predictions for the 53-man roster here, Jason Aponte. Really the big reminder for everybody here with the initial 53-man roster is the initial 53-man roster is a massive lie. It's the 53 that are going to be on the roster. The roster is going to be different on Wednesday. It's going to be different on Thursday. They're going to find players that may get cut and might be good enough to make the Niners. Hey, maybe a kicker.
Maybe a trade. Hi, Jacoby Myers.
Trade. That's another one. Hey, maybe sign Amari Cooper. Oh, wait a second. The Raiders did that. Even though the Niners kind of dragged their feet on that the whole offseason.
Can I, real quick about that, because Amari Cooper is somebody that 49ers fans have brought up. But again, I have a feeling that while the 49ers were interested, according to Jersey's own Diana Rossini.
Love Rossini.
I do think that Amari Cooper realized what his role was going to be and didn't want that. Again, his role was going to be even more diminished if this room gets back to health. So Amari Cooper's there for a few weeks and he's having a good time, but Jennings is back, and then Watkins is back, and then Ayuk is back, and you're literally the fifth receiver now, and I don't think he wanted that. So I wouldn't yell at the 49ers so much about that, more than it was they offered him a role, he didn't want it, and he saw a role that he could have with the Raiders, which might be a little bit bigger as well too if Jacoby Myers is moved. So, it just... The Raiders are funny. Jacoby Myers requests a trade. We signed Amari Cooper. How could you not put those together and just say something funny is going on over there, right? Like, what are they up to over there? So, yeah, I mean, again, the Amari Cooper thing, I wouldn't fret too much about it. It just means that they offered him a role, and he said, nah, I want to be a full-time player. I'm still a full-time player. And why wouldn't he say that?
That's not very 49ers Twitter of you, Jason Aponte. I want to get in a fret about Amari Cooper. I want to get in a fret. I want to get angry. Why didn't they sign him? Why didn't they trade for Trey Hendrickson? And why didn't they trade for Terry McLaurin, Jason Aponte? I just pounded my desk so hard my light turned off there. I don't know if
that one hurts.
But I wasn't very angry about those, actually. So sorry, Light. I didn't mean to do that.
I was about Terry. That just means he's not going to get traded here. That's hard, man.
That one's a bummer. The Hendrickson deal is very interesting, considering it's a 1 year, just giving him his money up front. I don't know what the hell the Bengals are doing out there in Cincinnati, but it's the state of Ohio. Nobody really knows what's going on out there anyways.
What I did notice, though, actually, there was a list that came out today about how much beers cost at football games. And the 49ers are the third highest with $14. You can get a beer at Cincinnati for $6. You cannot beat that with a stick. Oh my God, man. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that it's in Ohio, I would love to go there. But, they have a really good football team, so it'll be entertaining. But $6 beers in this economy, my goodness.
Must be nice. Must be nice. I mean, you got to do something to get through a Bengals season, so I guess the beer helps. Watching that defense,
and it's freezing in December. Yeah, I mean.
Jason, 53-man roster predictions. We're gonna go through. We're just gonna position by position.
Yep.
I don't do these too often. I don't like guessing the 53. I learned the biggest stressor for me, Jason, was making sure my numbers added up to 53. That's very stressful.
I just went through that right now. I
think I got 53, but my roster might be 54, 52. I might be off by one. This is a football podcast, not a math podcast. And then give you guys some context, kind of what we're looking at here. I'm going to have last year's 53-man roster. I'm just kind of give you an idea of what the numbers look like last year. Let's start Jason Aponte quarterbacks, this should be a very easy conversation. Last year, the Niners kept 3. I have them keeping 2. It's going to be Brock Purdy, Mac Jones. They're probably going to bring back Carter Bradley or Tanner Mordecai to hold a practice squad spot until Curtis Rourke gets healthy, which might be halfway through the season, but that's not the 53-man roster. I got Purdy and Mac Jones as my 2 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yeah, Purdy and Mac, that's the only way you can do it, especially because I'm trying to sneak a lot of people on this roster. You can't carry 3 at this point, and God help us if we have to get to the 3rd quarterback anyway, so why even keep one?
Well, I mean, the 3rd quarterback at that point, probably, the 2nd quarterback, if we ever get to that point, might be Kirk Cousins, but that's a conversation for another day, Jason Aponte. We don't have to talk about that. We're talking 53-man roster. Don't need to mention that name right now. Jason, I think quarterback conversation's done. I think we got that figured out.
Yep.
We don't need to really divulge too deep. I think this is where we're going to start kind of separating a little bit. Running backs in 2024, the 49ers kept 5. I have them keeping 5 on my initial 53. Probably the same 5. McCaffrey, Brian Robinson, who, by the way, number 30, I'm a little concerned. 30 is not a good running back number.
Give it back to Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson had it. But Brian Robinson, Kyle Juszczyk, Isaac Guerrero, and then Jordan James. Those are my 5 running backs I have.
I have McCaffrey, Guerrero, Robinson, Juszczyk, Jeff Wilson. And Jordan James is going to start either on PUP or IR. He's not ready to go right now. I don't know how you can put him on the initial 53 if you're not going to have him for week 1. And, the only part that I get a little hazy about with the 53-man roster and the rules is how many PUP allocations you can have, how many IR allocations you can have. I just don't think Jordan James is going to be ready for week 1. I don't see them carrying him on the initial 53. He's going to have some sort of designation. I think Jeff Wilson has firmly stamped himself as the 5th running back in this roster, and I just think Kyle loves his vets. So Jeff Wilson's going to be on this roster, I think.
Yeah, if Jordan James gets an injury designation, which he probably will, Jeff Wilson would be my 5th running back as well. I don't disagree with that. I'm just I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just being silly. I'm a little lower on Guerrero than I have been in previous months. And I don't know. I feel like Jordan James is better insurance than Guerrero at this point. But then again, you mentioned James is injured, and that kind of throws a wrench into that thought.
Well, the other thing is Guerrero offers something in special teams. So, that's the other thing. Like, I don't necessarily think that they're counting on him to be the backup running back, because that's why they got Brian Robinson, but they still want him to return kicks. They still want to have that sort of flexibility. That's why I don't think you can get him out.
5 receivers last year, I believe.
Yeah, but Brandon Ayuk was ready to sign, so that's, remember, that's a weird one.
Excuse me, the Niners had 7 receivers last
7.
season.
I was going to say, yeah.
Debo, Ronnie Bell, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Chris Conley, Ricky Pearsall, and Jacob Cowing. I have 5 on the initial 53. That's because Ayuk's hurt, Robinson suspended. I got Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, which that situation, I don't know if you saw Tim Kawakami at the SF Standard yesterday, kind of mentioned that situation's gone a little sideways. Sky Moore, Niners just traded for him. He's on the 53. Robbie Chosen, and then Watkins as my 5 receivers.
Yeah, I've got Jennings, Pearsall, Watkins, Moore, Gage, and Chosen. And I've got Cowing on the IR because he's gonna miss the first 6 weeks. I've got Ayuk on PUP, and then obviously Robinson suspended. So I've got Robbie Chosen, Russell Gage, Sky Moore, Jordan Watkins, Pearsall, Jennings. But things are getting really weird with Juwan Jennings right now.
I just don't know where I'm honestly at a point too, and I don't know how logistically it works with the injury. I'm curious if maybe they're kicking the tires on potential trade for Juwan Jennings, just because of how this situation is played out. I don't want to be that person, Jason, who's like, oh, the calf injury has more to do with the holdout. I don't want to be that person, but I want to pretend like the calf injury is a real thing, because it fully might be. And I don't know what wrench that would throw in a potential trade. It's so weird that there's so many weird things about it, but it's the 2nd year in a row he's doing this.
Yep.
And B, the timing of it was always super, super strange. Kawakami reported yesterday that the Niners aren't exactly thrilled with any of that as well. So I don't know. I'm Juwan Jennings. He was almost not on the 53 for a shock trade, but I'm gonna throw him on the 53 because I don't think a trade gets done within the next 18 hours.
Yeah, and it behooves him to get on the field because all of his multipliers and incentives are play based, snap based. if you're gonna hold out and miss out on all that stuff, like it just doesn't line up. Look, again, I understand where he's coming from. I understand where the 49ers are coming from. I wouldn't pay him. I would do what they just did with Trey Hendrickson. Give him his raise. Give him the extra money for this year, but don't lock him in for longer than this past year. Like I think that's it, man. Look, Juwan, just get on the field, dude. Fix the calf, get on the field, and if you want a real shot at a really big bag, then go out there and hoop one more year. Because of all of the injuries and everything, you're gonna get as many opportunities as you can. Like, go out there and prove it one more time. Bet on yourself.
Hey Jason, speaking of receivers, just came across the Chargers are going to waive Brendan Rice, so
Don't care.
receiver available.
Don't even insinuate the idea of the 49ers bringing in Brendan Rice to play wide receiver. Stop it.
Rewatching the game on Saturday.
That was cool that he caught a touchdown.
It was cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Well, Owens caught a touchdown.
I had Owens had the touchdown. Yes, I had a little stolen valor though for Tim Ryan yelling, "He's got TO!" Like, yo, you gotta earn that TO nickname. Like that was my only like.
That was cool. That was cool.
The whole play, like the touchdown, very cool. Actually, I gave him one of my 3 stars, NinersNation.com, just because like. It's not often you get a preseason moment, and that's what a preseason moment is. Like former Niner, something about Tim Ryan though calling him T.O. like it messed with my brain more than it should have. Like it's the logical nickname, I get it, but like T.O.'s Terrell Owens. Neither here nor there, Jason. Tight ends. Niners kept 2 last year: George Kittle and Jake Tonges. I was iffy on Tonges. I ended up cutting him. I probably have too many offensive linemen on my roster, Jason Plante. So maybe cut one of my offensive linemen if you want Tonges there. But my 3 tight ends are Kittle, Farrell, and Braden Willis. Can't get enough of that jersey number 9 playing tight end. So we're going to go Braden Willis.
I got Kittle, Farrell, and Tonges. They talk too much about him. They love him. I think that they think they can sneak Willis by on the practice squad because they've done it before, and held him around. I don't see the growth from Willis. I think it's Farrell, Kittle, and Tonges. Those are your 3.
Yeah, Tonjes was. I mean, maybe this is why I don't like the 53-man roster. But the fact that I was like living and dying by the 3rd tight end on my, I guess the 4th tight end on my list. It's just like, man, like I like Tonges, but like I don't know. But like, hey, I definitely see the reasoning. I think with Willis, I saw 9 a lot in the preseason. I think that's just me biased on that.
That's not a good thing. But it's not a good thing, Andrew. When you're the guy that's constantly being put out there, they're not trying to save you. Like this is what you should be reading into it. The more that you're running Willis out there, it's like, if he gets hurt, who cares? We're not keeping him.
That's true. That's true. Man, you might have just talked. I'm going to stick with Braden Willis as my pick, but you might have just talked me to Jake Tonges there. The offensive line, Jason. 10. I have 10 offensive linemen.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9. Okay, so I went Trent, obvious shocker, right? Trent Williams.
Yeah.
Brendel, Barch, Pooney, McKivitz, Burford, Colby, Hennessy, Moss, and Pleasance. I think I know a lot of people have Zacho making the roster. There's just so much bad that's kind of come out with him with his performance and how he played. The Moss has been one of the bigger come ups in this preseason. Hennessy just kind of as an assurance to center. But I'm going to go 10, and I feel like 10 offensive linemen is probably a lot. Last year the Niners kept 8, so I'm probably a little high on my number personally. But that's just where I landed.
I've got 9, and I've got Hennessy on the practice squad. And that's somebody who I think you can slip by, and he's the backup center. I'm with you. I think Nick Zakelj is going to get cut. I'm done with it. I'm done with it at this point. So I've got Trent, Burford, Barch, Colby, Brendel, Pooney, McKivitz, Moss, and Pleasance. I'm not excited about Pleasance, but they seem to be. Remember, just when you listen to Chris Forrester talk about somebody, if he's talking them up, he's making this team. I think Pleasance is your backup right tackle. I think Spencer Burford has actually flown under the radar as a very good backup left tackle this preseason. He's going to back up Trent. Sure, you don't have a swing tackle. You tried that with Dillard. You tried that, you wanted that with DJ Humphries. Didn't get it, but I do think Moss has to make this roster with Colby because you do need backup guys at the guard positions, and I think they slip Hennessy on the practice squad with Pleasance making the roster.
Yeah, I think 10 offensive linemen probably a little too much. Considering I feel like 8's like probably that sweet spot. I feel like just the sheer amount of injuries on the line,
Hmm.
I think they got to be more safe than sorry on the offensive line, on the offensive side of the trenches. And that's kind of where I landed with the 10. Zackle would probably make more sense in terms of flexibility for position. You could probably get rid of Moss and Pleasance and keep Zackle and call it a day. I don't think I've seen a single positive thing come out about Nick Zackle
Nah.
this entire camp, this entire preseason. So I have a hard time imagining that he is going to be a guy who stays, and I don't even think he's going to get a practice squad spot. I think some team will probably pick him up just because he's been around. But I feel like the last 3 years, Jason, since we've talked about Nick Zackle as a potential, and it's just the magic. I mean, whatever magic you might want to say there is, but the magic's just kind of out there.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree. I mean, it's year 3. I haven't seen anything different. Again, how many times are we just like, hey, Nick Zakel's here and he can play guard and he can play center. I don't care anymore. You can't play guard, you can't play center. I just and it doesn't mean that I think Austin Pleasance is some sort of, you know, amazing player, but you also have to remember what we're doing right now is what needs to be done for tomorrow. Dan Skipper has been released by the Lions. He could be somebody the 49ers bring in. We wait for these cutdowns. I'm glad that Andrew talked about those qualifiers because it is true, but we're just talking about what needs to be done by tomorrow.
Yep, this is what needs to be done, and Zach will probably gone. So I have 25 on offense, Jason. If my math is correct, you're probably around the same as well. Let's move to the defensive line. I have 10 defensive linemen making the team. Last year it was 9, so about the same. Shocker, I got Nick Bosa making the team. I know that's a huge one, but that's what I got. I got Mykel Williams, Jordan Elliott, which great guy, NBC Sports Bay Area. We love him. Kalia Davis, Bryce Huff, CJ West, Alfred Collins, Evan Anderson, Valdez making it, and Sammy O as my 10th and final defensive lineman. I don't think anybody has raised their stock more than Sebastian Valdez in the preseason. And I think at some point you have to reward that, especially at a position. I was listening to Locked On earlier, and they were talking about why Jordan Elliott's performance on Saturday was so important because the Niners really don't have a starting defensive tackle right now, right? Like they just have the idea of a starting group. And when there's guys like Valdez who work their way on like he has this entire preseason in a spot where you don't have any starters, I don't think you're at a point where you can cut guys like that. So I got Valdez making this initial 53-man roster on the defensive line.
I got 9 defensive linemen. I've got Bosa, Huff, Mykel, West, Collins, Anderson, Valdez, Kalia Davis, and Jordan Elliott. I really got close with Gibson, because he's played very well and he's looked good. And also, by the way, I've got Yetur Gross-Mato starting on PUP or IR, whatever it is. Too. So yeah. The Jordan Elliott thing, I forgot about that, right? And you know what's funny? I think I might need to up it up to 10 because I do think Sammy O makes this roster as well too. So yeah, I think I'm up to 10 now as well, and I'm gonna have to make a cut somewhere else. Damn. And I'll let you know where I do that at.
All right, we'll find that. So we have the same 10 then. Kevin Givens also on IR, but I believe his season's over. The IR rules mess with me quite a bit because there's some 4-week IRs or some season ending.
Yeah.
But Sammy Okawanu is going to make this roster. I got 6 linebackers, Jason Aponte.
I got 5.
That matches the number from last year. I got Fred Warner, D. Winters, Nick Martin, Tatum Bethune, Curtis Robinson, and Gifford making it. Chaz Surratt was a tough one. He had a big game on Saturday with the 10 tackles. I just didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah, it was hard with the Curtis Robinson thing because that was such a nice play and everything. I think they're going to try to sneak him by too as well on the practice squad. But I've got Bethune, Martin, Gifford, Winters, and Fred. That's going to be interesting to go back and look at and see. And I did have a problem with Chaz Surratt because Saleh loves him so much. He has special teams. I wonder how much of that is going into all of this, which is kind of where I'm at with, if we move to cornerback on why I think one of these guys is going to stick around on the roster. But yeah, I've got 5. So I don't have them bringing Curtis Robinson on, but I do have them trying to sneak him onto the practice squad.
Yeah, Robinson was my loose. I think he'll make the roster. I was really between him and Surratt. I went Robinson, but I could see that being the case too. Six linebackers, especially with and I know it's special teams got to be filled out. So, but when you have Warner, Winters, Martin really taking up the first 3 spots, and then Tatum Bethune who can kind of step in, it gets tough, especially at a position like linebacker.
I think Gifford is the third. Like in base, when
Gifford could be there too. Yes.
Yeah, in base, he's probably the third guy on the field with Winters and Warner. I think Martin is the Winters replacement, so he's Winters' backup. Gifford, whenever they are going to be in base, it would be him on the field. I think, based on his time, even though he spends most of his time on special teams. But that's just kind of the way I'm reading it with the way that training camp was kind of going and the way they were slotted in.
Cornerbacks, Jason Aponte. Niners had 6 last year. I have them keeping 5.
I have them with 6 this year.
You have 6. I have Lenore, Green, Flowers, Stout, Lucas, and Darrell. I got Darrell Luter making the team.
Yeah, I've got Luter, Lucas, Stout, Flowers, Green, Demo. I wanted to, and what's funny is now that I'm getting into this and I forgot about Sammy O, and I don't know how I forgot about Sammy O on D-line, which, moved my number from 9 to 10, is pushing my number to 54 now. I would have thought it was going to be Luter that was going to be the person that I would get rid of, but I just, again, special teams, right? And he has such an up and down game. On Saturday, he literally had 2 really nice plays defensively, a pass breakup, and then was just getting smoked on these like, goal balls, and they're just like right on the sticks. And I just have a hard time getting rid of him because of his special teams, right? Like, and I think that's how they intend to use him. And I do think they want him to work. Now, will he work is something completely different, but I do think the team wants Luter to work and they want him to stick around. So I have a hard time with it, with moving off of him, even though, my numbers are getting dwindled. Hey, you know what? I'm going to make a bold choice. On special teams, we're not doing any more kickers anymore. We're going to do punter and long snapper. No kicker. We're good here.
Just cutting Moody. I just realized too, I said I had 5 cornerbacks and listed 6 names. So my roster's up to 54 as well now. So I got to make a cut. This is why I'm not good at it. This is why I'm not in these decision making.
I don't want to be in these decisions.
I would try and sneak a 54th man on the roster. It's an initial 54 man. I made it up.
Just makes me scared about Valdez for a defensive line. Like, that's what it makes me scared of. Like I think that they're gonna try to maybe, push him on the practice squad. But I think he's earned a spot. Like, and he's earned time on the field as a rotational.
I think if I keep my 6 corners, I think I'm gonna move Pleasance off the roster. 10 feels like too much, and maybe he's a guy you try and sneak through the practice squad. But again, this is a podcast, Jason. We don't have to have an exact 53. It's just hey man, this is our roster. This is the roster we're submitting. It might get rejected by the NFL because we have too many players, but it's not my problem. That's the NFL's problem, I guess. Jason, this is where we might get a little different here. I have 4 safeties. I have Pinnock, I have Siegel, I have Grant, I have Saran Neal. I don't think Jair Brown's on the roster by the time we get to 53 tomorrow.
I got 5 safeties. You got Malik on pup, Pinnock, Siegel, Tig, Saran Neal, and Grant. Now, here's what's interesting. Do the 49ers pivot away from Darrell Luter, keep Saran Neal, who they actually were running at cornerback recently, and just have him as this bounce around type of guy? Right. I wonder if that's the thought process there. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Luter doesn't make it, but it's because Saran Neal moved to corner, played a little corner, and still can play safety and gives you the special teams thing. So I have a hard time. Saran Neal's going to make this team, I think. Yeah. I just wonder if it's going to be at the cost of Darrell Luter, especially because now he's showing flexibility by going to corner.
Yeah, and to answer Matt's question in the comments, I believe the Niners have Neal listed. Oh, they have him listed as a cornerback. So yeah, so he is a cornerback. So I kind of move him around. I put him as a safety. So maybe you are right. Maybe Luter's the odd man out. You kind of have Saran Neal kind of play a floater. I believe I was looking at a 53 projection that had Neal listed as a safety, so that's where I got that at. So if that's the case, because my thing is with the Jair Brown, I don't think he gets moved off the roster necessarily before the 53, but I could see him making the 53 and then maybe look to trade him. So that's kind of my flexibility spot. So like if I need to, I'll move Luter out, move Neal to cornerback, and Jair Brown makes it. I think with the way it's set up, because I think Jason Pinnock has a spot saved as a starter. I think Siegel's played his way into that spot.
He's a starter.
Jair Brown hasn't really helped himself in the preseason. And then Malik Mustafa has to come back. And it's really at a point of where does Jair Brown, what's his spot? I don't think they cut him. I don't think you can cut him. This is me projecting a trade, trying to just get something back especially considering they made a couple trades last week to lose a couple of picks, maybe just trying to recoup something. And Jair Brown really feels like the easiest solution, which would be it would be a kind of a fucked up thing if Jair Brown is off of this roster before the kicker they took after him.
Well, I don't think they're in a position to get rid of safeties, at this point, and I think whatever, you have your two starters, and then you at least have a guy who has experience, right? And I don't think he really helped himself either. And this hurts me the most because
yes,
I really enjoyed, the pick, and he looked so good early on in his career, under Steve Wilkes, and it's just not coming together right now. Now, when Malik comes back, do they explore that option again with Tig? And again, injuries pile up across the there could be a market for a safety, right? And there's always going to be an organization that's going to say, I can fix him, get me, let me get my hands on him. That's why there's always first round quarterbacks who are getting 6 and 7 and 8, 9 chances, right? I mean, I'm not saying that Tig is a first round safety or anything like that. I'm just saying I know that there's traits in there that can be accentuated and developed, and maybe Steve Wilkes, is the key to that, or maybe it's somebody similar with a similar game plan and a way to use him. So yeah, I do think they can't right now, just based on the thinness of the position, but I do think they will revisit that, especially if Pinnock and Siegel show out and they feel really good about what they have.
Based on what you just gave me, I just cut Darrell Luter, moved Neal the cornerback.
I think so too.
Brown. I
think
Brown,
that's who
so
I think that's who I have to get rid of to finish this, and then we have the specialists, so we're done.
The three specialists, Jason.
The three specialists.
Jake Moody, John Weeks, Thomas Morstead. I don't think we're really going to stray from that. Nope. Which hey man, Morstead's game. I kind of joked about it at the top. Forcing to the Niners had 7 punts, which objectively is a bad thing. Like 7 punts is entirely too many. But the flip side of that, the Chargers on the drives following those 7 punts, 4 punts of their own, 2 muffs that resulted in Niner touchdowns, and a field goal. So the Niners actually outscored the Chargers 14-3 on punts on Saturday, which preseason football, none of it matters. But with the Niners' history in special teams, I'll take any special teams win I can get. And again, after we heard for years and years and years about this Mitch Wisnowski knuckle punt that can cause muffs and it never happening, to have Thomas Morstead I'm gonna call at NinersNation.com, I use the term forced muffs. I don't think that's a real thing, but that's what I'm just going to use because it was a positive for the 49ers.
Yeah, whatever, man. Morstead is good, and you need that. That's actually, very solid. Weeks is, a long snapper, and Moody's the kicker, for better or worse. That's all I have to say.
For now, there could be a surprise cut here and there. It doesn't help.
Well, I floated the idea because Miami's kicker, Jason Sanders, is going to be out for 6 weeks. You send Moody to Miami for Tyreek Hill. I think, yes, the 49ers are overpaying 100%, like, to get Tyreek Hill. Like, I get that, but they do need a kicker. So, I mean, let Mike and Kyle hash it out. Moody for Tyreek Hill. I think that's fair. I would do that deal if I was Miami.
I would do it too. Also, if you think about it, Tyreek Hill was the 165th overall pick, Jake Moody the 99th pick.
Look at that.
I mean, which one has more value?
Look at that.
With the 3rd round pick or the 5th round pick? I think that's a pretty good deal for the Niners and the Dolphins.
What's funny to me is that somebody's going to actually listen to this and go into the YouTube comments and I can't believe you said that, and they'll never do. Just in before you do, we're clearly joking, but yeah, it is kind of funny because Pittsburgh was talking about they wanted to get a draft pick for a trade for their kicker, and I'm just like, what in the entire shit is going on here in this league that we're sending draft capital away for kickers? Like, just cut him and I'll just go sign him. I'll pick him up at Walmart in my truck. Like, come on.
I'm going to be paying too much attention to the kickers being cut tomorrow, just because I think that's the most likely position where the Niners like, hey, this guy got cut. We're going to replace Moody with him. And I mean, it just doesn't help that like Cam Little, 5th-round pick, he's making 70-yard kicks, 59-yard kicks.
Joey Sly, 60-yard kick.
Joey Sly's making 60.
Could you imagine if the Niners ever had Joey Sly?
Brandon Aubrey having a 64-yard kick. The Cowboys got him after he was an MLS reject. The Lions and Jake Bates, he's a UFL guy. He's making 60-yard kicks. And then the Niners are sitting here with their 99th overall pick, missing PATs. And then everybody talking about the missed PAT. How about the kickoff out of bounds where it's a 60-yard wide field and he's kicking balls off out of bounds? Like it's just, I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but it's going to be a talking point until he's either A, off of this roster, or B, grossly consistent. And I don't even think we could be talking about Jake Moody going 28 for 28 in 2025, right? Like he could go 28 for 28 and he'll have a playoff kick and I'll still be watching like this. Cause like it's just been so much. And like, to me, the worst part about it is I gave him all the flowers I could from the game against the Raiders because of yes, he missed the 53-yarder, but he made 2 kicks in the final minute, yada, yada, yada. And then his first kick attempt is a fucking PAT attempt and he misses it. Like, and that's what I was talking about last week, Jason. It's like, yes, this is all fine and dandy. It depends how he follows it up. That's what I care about. And then his first attempt to follow up that game was a point after attempt that he misses. And that was probably the line. When I know this happens in sports every so often, but with the position like kicker that you can just kind of replace willy-nilly, when the fans start doing the sarcastic, like, you made the kick.
Cheer. That's the Bronx cheer.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's got to be the line. And so like out of everything that we could be talking about, Jason, I think the thing I'm most intrigued in tomorrow with the 53-man rosters is what kickers become available.
I don't have anything else to say, man. You know, this is the last thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The 49ers, your organization, you deserve everything you get.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve it all. This isn't, oh, well, you know, that's unfortunate. No. You deserve all of it. You deserve all the misses. If he blows a game, look at yourself in the mirror, blame yourself. If he's kicking the ball out of bounds in a crucial moment where it moves people up to the 40, blame yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm done. What am I going to get all mad about? They deserve all of this. They deserve it all. And I'm not even going to take any victory lap because there's no victory lap to be taken. Anybody who understands roster construction understands that you do not use any pick on any specialist. None. But the 49ers don't understand that. And they were so arrogant because they said, you know what, man? We're loaded at every single position. We don't need starters. We don't need backup players. We can burn a pick on a kicker. Fucking stupid. So you deserve all of this. So you know what? I'm done. I don't care about yelling about it anymore. Just remember that when this happens, I don't want to see you going to the podium saying, hey, he's had a really good game and da. Blame yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, you know who's an idiot? I am. And that's all you need to do.
So that's our 53-man roster projection. Hopefully, maybe the last time we talk about Jake Moody until he gets cut. But 53-man roster right there, Jason. Really, it feels almost too straightforward this year. I think that's partially because of the injuries. But it doesn't feel like there's going to be too many surprises when that initial 53 gets dropped tomorrow. And again, it's probably because of the injuries and there's just not much flexibility right now. But overall, like it's the 53 they're going to have going into the season, at least until, I don't know, maybe the name I'm most intrigued in, and maybe going into a little bit rumor here, is Kyle Duggar out in New England.
That's a good one.
He could be I know Myers is getting a lot of attention right now because he would be a good fit for the Niners and he's been a player. But I would say, and maybe this isn't a good thing to say, I would say safety might be a little more pressing than receiver right now, just because it's nothing wrong against Panic or Siegel. It's just a lot of uncertainty, not a ton of experience at the position right now. You go get a guy like Kyle Duggar, who's kind of been around for a while. I think that's an instant boost to this defense. I don't know what it would take, and it's really tough at this point because do you trade him or do you take the risk of waiting to see if he gets cut and make the move there? It's tough, but I think Duggar is one that'll be very interesting. The other one that I'm a little biased on just because I wanted him in the draft process. I don't think it's gonna happen. 6'5", 450-pound Desmond Watson. He's been released by the Buccaneers, defensive tackle. They didn't let him practice because of his weight, but the video of him just kind of standing on the sideline, don't know how that's going to help him with his weight problem. I don't think the Niners bark up that tree, but that'd be an interesting practice squad space eater type player on the defensive line that could help in purely rotational situations. And the Niners don't have a ton of depth at the position. I'm not expecting a 450-pound defensive tackle to really fix anything. I just mainly wanted him because he looks fun to have on the Niners.
Well, it could be him. It could be Justin Simmons. These are all names that are still out there, and I think you're starting to see everybody kind of trickle in terms of what's going on with, cut downs, all that stuff, and people who just want to avoid training camp. Zadarius Smith is still somebody that's out there that can be picked up. There's still depth out there. So, could be one of those things, but I think the only way you do that is if you have a deal in place for Tig. If you move Tig and then you go for Justin Simmons, it's fine. Now, the interesting part about Kyle Duggar is that the Patriots are willing to eat a lot of that salary. That's very good because that has to be a concern. So, I mean, I do think that it does make sense to at least float the idea out there. But I do believe the 49ers are 10 toes down committed to younger and cheaper, and we're not going to, bring anything else in. So, yeah, I think that, it's something to float out there. I just don't think that that's something that they're going to explore further than due diligence.
Yeah, I think the thing that excites me the most about the 53-man cut down is not necessarily who's on the 53, but it's who gets cut around the league and who the Niners prioritize around the league and who they move and who they like more than the players they get. Because again, as I said at the start of the show, the 53-man roster is the initial until Wednesday, because if there's a player the Niners like more than the player they kept, they're going to make that move. So that's what I'm most interested in, just kind of seeing what happens around the league, because there's always that surprise cut, right? And I mean, teams lie, right? Like for example, not to bring the Browns into this, but the Browns have been telling us all camp, all preseason, 4 quarterbacks. We're going to go 4 quarterbacks. Well, Kenny Pickett's now on the Raiders. So like there's going to be situations, and obviously Kenny Pickett's not going to be a Niner type thing, but it's that thing where teams are saying one thing and then they'll make a move that completely contradicts it and somebody's available that you didn't expect. I'm just using Pickett as an example. So that's just where we're at with the 53-man roster, Jason. I think you and I both projected 53-man rosters that are going to get the Niners to the Super Bowl, though. I think we did it.
I mean, like I said, man, make me the general manager. All my picks are going to be studs. Make me the offensive coordinator. All the plays are touchdowns. Make me the head coach. All the games are wins. I mean, you don't have to complicate this too much. But it is going to be interesting to figure out, too. And I kind of wish that today, instead of Brian Robinson and players talking, that Kyle spoke today. Because I wanted to get injury updates on some of these guys, and it would have helped me, lead me to a better, like right now, the Jordan James thing where I have him on PUP IR is just based on the fact that I haven't had any updates on him or anything like that. It is a broken finger, and Jeff Wilson's played well, and Kyle is in love with his veterans, right? So yeah. I would have loved to have heard Jordan James is fine and he's going to ramp up this week, because then I would have said, oh, you know what? Then he is going to make the roster and Jeff Wilson's going to be on the practice squad. But because I don't have any of that, because they let the players speak today and Kyle hasn't spoken, now we're just going off of, vibes. Like, very much like we usually do. This is a vibe-centric podcast. I understand that. But it would have been really nice to hear from Kyle, at least get some injury updates from some of these guys before we had to do it. But you know what? We had to do it. And if you're looking for more of this content, I'll go into more detail. My article will go up tomorrow with my projection before the actual deadline.
Yeah, I'm curious the next time we have Kyle Shanahan when he's going to talk. Nothing listed for tomorrow. Players' day off tomorrow. So I'm curious the next time we hear Kyle talk. But yeah, Jason, there's the 53. How do you like it? We feel good?
I never a doubt, baby. 20-0. 20-0, and Jay-Z's going to perform at halftime, during a 49ers Super Bowl win at Levi's Stadium. I'm super excited.
Where did the Jay-Z come? Did you just hoping to hope?
Well, it's all right. A few things. One, he's in charge of it. Two,
Yes, that makes
he's
sense.
working on a new album. Three,
Oh, he is.
he's been popping out at Beyonce shows, trying to get himself back into shape and everything as well too. So
Okay.
I think, and then I think this is the last year that he has like full control over it. So why not himself?
I like the idea. Just pick yourself. Hey, this is the last chance I get doing this. I'm picking myself. I like it.
100%. Did
I
you want
like
to
it.
do you want to take this from Gammon real quick?
Gammon, question for both you gentlemen. How do you mentally prepare yourself for the inevitable negative comments on Niners Nation to YouTube for your honest football takes this season? I don't read them. I don't think I've ever gone to the comment section on NinersNation.com. I get real bad anxiety about that type of stuff because I care what other people think about me way too much. One would say, "Hey, maybe content creation's not meant for you, Andrew." But no, I like the comments on the podcast are a little different because I like being able to instantly react to the negativity and be like, "Hey, no, this is where I'm thinking of." And I don't think we've ever really had a negative person in the comments end up actually disliking us. No, because like we've had negative people in the comments before, but we tend to turn them towards us, right? I mean, that's where a lot of like, am I? You're looking at me like I'm forgetting somebody.
Maybe I'm just thinking about. Maybe I'm just thinking about the channel itself because people get in here and like say crazy shit like I like
Oh, dude,
all right.
That's what I'm excited for because it seems like the instant reactions are a completely different monster than
because
SRO
everybody's still
Monday.
charged up right there, right?
So I'm mentally preparing myself for that. But yeah, in terms of the Niners Nation, I typically don't read those comments. I used to, and it just got to be too much.
I read the Niners Nation comments. I don't. I'm a crash out, Gammon. Everybody that watches this podcast and this channel knows I'm a crash out, but I read those comments, and when it's something that's so dumb, it doesn't bother me, right? Like if I say 2 + 2 = 4 in an article, and someone in the comments says, "What an idiot! 2 + 2 = 5." Well, then you can just be stupid on your own, and that's fine. Like it doesn't bother me or anything like that. With YouTube, if I'm a mirror, what you give me is what you get. If you want to have a respectable football talk, and I will come back, even if you disagree, I will come right back with something respectful. But if you're gonna talk shit to me, I'm gonna talk shit right back, and that's how I am. I give you the energy you give me. I'm always big on match that energy. So if people in the YouTube comments they start getting and popping that shit and everything, then I'm gonna pop that shit right back. That's just who I am. But if you want to be respectful and you come at me in a different way, the one thing that's off, like, I don't care, man. Say whatever you want about my takes. Say whatever it is that you want about the way that I speak. Say whatever it is that you want about my setup, whatever, fine. The one thing that's out of bounds and I will not tolerate, ever, to this day, will not tolerate, and this is some shit that'll make me crash out heavy, is if you talk about my daughter. That's it, bro. Like leave my family out of it, man. Say whatever you want about me. Say whatever you want about my appearance or any of that, but that shit is out of bounds. And that's some shit that I know you wouldn't say to my face because I wouldn't allow that to be said to my face. So, for me, I give what I get, but I don't care about comments like that anymore. As long as you keep it about football, it's whatever. We can respectfully disagree, but just keep it out of bounds. And also, don't get mad when I shit on you back. Like, if you're going to shit on me and I shit on you back, don't get mad at me and be like, oh, well, you got to be professional. Why? Why do I got to be professional? Why do I always got to turn the other cheek? Why do I always got to be the bigger man? I'm tall as hell. I'm tired of being the bigger man. I want to be the smaller man for once.
It's just the Jersey way, man. Just going after people when they come after you. I wish I had a little more Jersey in me, but we're soft out here in California, Jason. So
y'all just laid back.
I don't got that dog in me,
Y'all just laid back, man. I like that. Everything. See, you know what it is too, is we're wired different over here. We get mad over the smallest inconveniences, right? Yes. Like if I'm walking and you're walking slow in front of me, move out of the way. Like it's just like like you're just trying to get like it's little stuff like that. Or if the train's coming and you've got your foot in it, I'm gonna kick your foot out of the door so the door closes so we can get out of here. I don't care if you have to be somewhere. I've got to be somewhere before you do. So yeah, it's 100%. We're just wired different up here. Everything makes us mad. It's humid. It's hot. People are annoying, and we all have the same attitude. So
I wish I had a little more Jersey in me. Maybe I'll come out and learn it from you. Learn it from the best, Jason Aponte.
Well, and I see people asking like who's saying stuff about Averly. It's been 3 or 4 instances where And I can remember the latest one. It made me just absolutely crash out and turn off the stream. Was after we lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship, and that was when Purdy hurt his elbow, and people are in there like, yeah, go take care of your brat daughter, and I crashed out. Like that's the type of shit I don't tolerate. I won't even let you get that last little bit out of your mouth if you were saying it to me face to face. I won't even let you finish it. You're not gonna be able to finish that sentence before I'm snuffing you. So and that was like the last time. And then there'll be other times like, what is your brat kid doing here? It happens. It happens. So, at the end of the day, I always try to be respectful, and I always want to be, but I don't ever want to present somebody that I'm not. And I'm flawed, just like you. I make mistakes. I go over the top. I'm flawed. And I don't want to present something as being perfect. That's why I don't look down on anybody else and how they handle their business. I'm flawed, like you. I make mistakes. I go over the top. I curse. Y'all call me Spicy Aparte for a reason. But what I want to convey more than anything is that I am flawed and I am authentic. And that's all that I really care about. And I think that is something that you can't tell people I'm authentic. You have to show them. And I think that's the reason that we've been able to, kind of carry this over for many years.
Well, that's what I love about this podcast is it's you and I just being ourselves talking 49ers football. And that's I think the key to this podcast is it's always going to be us being ourselves talking about 49er football. And I think that's why people like to come back to us every Monday, every Friday, listen to us. And also because we give them a little something different too. We don't always talk Niners football. We kind of go on our own tangents as well. We do things that make us laugh and things that we enjoy. And I think people can see that.
Do you want to, one more time, just for the people that are tuning in now, because we're up to 70 people. Again, if you're here, like this video, subscribe to the channel, please. That helps us out a lot. We can recap very quickly our 53-man prediction. With quarterback, we both have Brock and Mac.
Yes.
Running back, I have McCaffrey, Garendo, Robinson, Juszczyk, Jeff Wilson. I think that Jordan James isn't going to be ready. They'll use him for a pup IR early on in the season.
I had James over Wilson.
Yes.
So that's our difference there.
I've got Jennings, Pearsall, Watkins, Moore, Gage, Chosen. I think Cowing's on IR, Ayuk's on pup, and obviously Robinson suspended.
I had everybody but Gage, so I only had 5 receivers myself.
Okay. Kittle, Farrell, and Tonjes for me at tight end.
I went Willis over Tonjes, but kind of got talked out of Willis over Tonjes, but sticking with Willis over Tonjes.
All right. Trent, Burford, Barch, Colby, Brendel, Pooney, McKivitz, Moss, Pleasance. Hennessy's on the practice squad.
I flipped Hennessy and Pleasance. So
Okay.
I got Hennessy making it Pleasance on the PS.
Bosa, Huff, Michael, West, Collins, Anderson, Valdez, Samio, Kalia Davis, and YGM goes on PUP or IR to start the season.
And Jordan Elliott, I believe you had.
And Jordan Elliott.
And Jordan. So we both had the same 10.
Yep. Fred, Winters, Gifford, Martin, Bethune at linebacker for me.
I had Robinson as my 6th, but kind of got talked out of that. But I'll stick with Robinson as the 6th.
I think Robinson goes to the practice squad. And then cornerback, Demo, Green, Flowers, Stout, Lucas, and I'm cutting Luter.
Yeah, so I got rid of Luter, moved Neal in there. So Lenore, Green, Flowers, Stout, Lucas, and Neal because he's listed as a cornerback.
Yeah. Malik on pup, Pinnock, Siegel, Tig, Saran, and Grant.
Yeah, the Pinnock, Siegel, Grant, Brown, and then Mustafa on the pup. And then our 3 special teamers, Moody, Weeks, Morstead, but that might change tomorrow. So there's the run through of the 53-man roster. I believe our math is correct there. It might be a 54. We're going to call it a 53, Jason Aponte, because that's what you're allowed to do.
It's our damn podcast. We'll do whatever we want. Math isn't real. Cover 6 isn't real. We can do whatever we want.
We should have wrote Justin Jefferson makes the roster. We could do that, right? It's our podcast. Niners what would happen if the Niners just wrote a player not on their team on their 53? NFL couldn't say no to that, right?
Wouldn't that be fire if Justin Jefferson, they're like, listen, I don't know what happened, but you're not a Viking anymore and you're on the 49ers.
Well, I've always thought about it. You gotta during the draft, try and draft somebody on another team. If Goodell says it, it's official, right? So if he goes up with the 13th pick, the Niners selects. I was trying to think of a defensive lineman, Trey Hendrickson. If he says it, Trey Hendrickson's a Niner. Nothing else they can do about it.
Wouldn't it be? I just have this picture in my head, he's Trey Hendrickson, and then Trey Hendrickson's like in the green room, and he gets up and he like walks out on stage,
He's
like
like,
he's
why am
confused too.
I? I wasn't even in the green room 10
He's
minutes
like,
ago. Why am I
he's
here
like,
now?
what the hell? Like, what? How am I? And then he's like holding the jersey all awkward, like he has no idea what's going on either. Like,
I'm Trey Hendrickson.
I'm Trey. I'm a Niner.
Okay. I guess
Yeah.
Niners. Is he goes?
Niners select Josh Allen.
Niners select Josh Allen. If Goodell says it, it's legally binding. So I
Okay.
think that's nice and easy.
And I think it was Ozzy that was asking. So Tariq Owens isn't going to make this roster. I say absolutely hell no to Brendan Rice. Frank Gore Jr.
Yeah,
That's the one that I say I can actually live with as a nepo baby.
That could be an interesting one if James starts on IR and maybe then or PUP or whatever it may be, and the Niners aren't all in on Jeff Wilson. Maybe they make the move to go get Gore, give him 21. Those jerseys would go hard.
Or just sign Shiloh Sanders and give him 21.
Or bring back Jordan Willis, give him 52.
Oh man. By the way, Shiloh Sanders, I hope you learned CFL, pal, because you're not making a roster at this point. No one's gonna take a chance on that.
Why is nobody freaking out about Shiloh not getting a chance with the Buccaneers?
Because he's not
like
good.
Freaking out about Shador not getting
not good.
Proper
Shador,
chance with the Browns.
Shador, it's a little bit more interesting because, oh my God, all the bad things that were in his evaluation were popped up in that game. You cannot take a 24-yard sack. You know, and then you know what's funny? It was a mixture of things because even when he made a play and got out of a sack, he threw a pass to his tight end, and it was a hair behind, but it hit him in the hands and dropped. And I'm like, dude, you gotta help him out. Like I know that that's a ball that's behind, but my God, you have to help him out, man. So yeah.
I can't believe Shiloh Sanders got ejected from a preseason football game.
Idiot. I don't understand why you punch people with helmets on.
No, that's just not a good idea. It's never been a good idea. And it's always my favorite thing when NFL players do it. But yeah, and especially when you're on the fringe of making a 53-man roster, probably not the best thing to do, and probably why he's not on a roster at this point. But hey, that's a Buccaneers problem, not a Niners problem today.
I do want to point out that I do think the 49ers should target at least another wide receiver who has just been recently released, and that's Donovan Peoples-Jones. If you're going to put him at the end of the roster as well, too, I think they're waiting around for, you know, how they're going to construct this and who's going to be on PUP, who's going to be on IR, but he's definitely somebody that you have to at least kick around. Look, hasn't put it together in the NFL, fine, he'll be at the end of the bench, but big and fast, you know, I think that's somebody that the 49ers should absolutely look at it.
Jason, tomorrow we'll find out who the 53 men are who are going to make this 53. It'll be exciting. Are we going to go live?
I have bully ball tomorrow with Steph. That's always every Tuesday, and we, you know, I think we were talking about, you know, we're gonna go instant reaction right after that.
Okay.
So after that we can do Wednesday or something like that where we can recap everything, go through that. Maybe, but you know, I'm sure there'll be more movement in terms of players.
Let's pencil in Wednesday then, just because I have slow pitch softball at 6:30 tomorrow, so it'd be a tight squeeze to do a 5:15 podcast anyway. So let's pencil in a 53-man review and any moves that happen after that. We'll pencil that in for Wednesday, same time. But Jason, good episode today. Good talking 53-man roster. If I had an extra roster spot, unfortunately I filled the 53. But if I had a 54th, Jason Aponte would be my receiver.
And it would be like that scene in Waterboy when they like the Wolverines you know, experimented with their towel boy, and he gets like clothesline, and he's like, but he ran into a laundry list of problems.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I
love that movie so much.
I might need to rewatch it.
And Filthy Casual says, when do they start waiver wires? I heard it mirrors the draft. Yes, the 49ers have a high waiver priority in there as well too, but I do believe it'll start right after tomorrow, after the deadline for the 53. Could be wrong. NFL rules are very weird. That would just be in line with how I'm used to fantasy football. It would be the Tuesday it clears at 3 a.m. You know, but I don't think it's going to be that.
All right, Jason Aponte. Well, we will be back on Wednesday to talk about it all. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Bam.